Hi, my loves. Welcome back to the Starscartel channel. If you don't know, I am Star. So, the message came to me while I was watching a short series about Griselda Blanco, also known as the Godmother. And while I was watching this show, there's a female police officer that is after her, okay? And she is low key, high key obsessed with Griselda Blanco. She is obsessed with catching her. She is obsessed with shutting her down. And in the process of her trying to capture her, she ends up doing something. And when she does this, one of her coworkers is telling her that she shouldn't do it. She needs to be cautious because she doesn't know how she's going to react or what's going to happen. And she tells him that, like, from looking at her pictures, from looking at her activity and the things that she's doing, it had to fight very hard to get to her position. And she is also still fighting very hard to maintain that position. And I know I'm not saying it exactly verbatim, but she says something like, it's not a situation where she got to the top and now she doesn't have to look over her shoulder anymore. If anything, she has to look over her shoulder more. So for someone, God says that you have fought very hard to get to where you are. Like, you had to fight hard to get to where you are. You had a lot of people that were saying you wouldn't make it. There were a lot of people that looked down on you. There were a lot of people that tried to stop you. There were a lot of people that you had to claw. Okay? It's, God said, tooth and nail, you had to claw your way to the top. And now that you're in the position that you're in, you can't assume that now you can relax and you don't have to look over your shoulder anymore. If anything, you even more so have to look over your shoulder. You even more so have to watch out. And I could be wrong, but if I'm not tripping, I think that's actually the way that she passed on is she was freed from prison and she was just living her life as a normal person, and out of nowhere somebody that had beef with her came up, and that was the end. And even in the show, like right when she was getting ready to get out, that's when they decided to take out her sons. Like, well, three of them. One of them survived. And I'm just saying this to say, I just feel like for whoever this is for, God said it's not going to be a situation where you're going to be able to um, just assume that nobody is going to be after you. Because new levels, new devils. Okay. So yeah, you may not have to worry about the same people you had to worry about at first, but it's not going to be a situation where you're not going to have to worry about nobody. God said, and it's not to say that they're going to be able to overcome you. It's not to say they're going to be able to take you out. It's not to say they're going to be able to steal your position. But don't ever, I just feel like don't allow yourself to be confused by that, that dream, a daydream of assuming now that you have this, now that you have that, or whatever it is that you have, now you don't have to worry about anybody messing with you anymore. And I'm just thinking about how, like, I've talked to y'all about this before, how I had all of the things I went through before I actually had my dream car. And I had a car, the same car I have now, but a different color, and it got stolen. I ended up coming across someone that was selling the exact Cadillac I wanted, a Cadillac DeVille 2004, the exact one I wanted. I got it. When I finally got that car, as happy as I was at first thinking, you know what, I'm going to leave it white. I'm not going to mess with it because I don't want nobody to be trying to come after me behind this car. Baby, lo and behold, uh, went out one time, and while I was in the little club, came back outside and saw that somebody was trying to break into my car. They couldn't because that's steel, but they were trying to break into my car. They were waiting outside of my car. And, went out another time in that car before I had it painted, and someone put something in my drink. Long story short, I realized that it really didn't matter if I had the car the color I wanted it to be or not. You know what I'm saying? When people gonna feel how they gonna feel. You know what I'm saying? And I have even realized this when I had a car that I didn't even like. Like the first when I had my first Impala, I didn't even like that car like that. I didn't like the color. I didn't like that the way the seat was. I didn't like the way it drove. It was just a headache to me. And somebody still stole that car. I could not believe it. I was shocked and appalled. I was like, why would they even want this car? I just feel like God is saying, it doesn't, just because you are elevating doesn't mean that now all of a sudden, you're not going to have to worry about any kind of opposition. Opposition is going to be there regardless of what you have, regardless what kind of car you drive, regardless of what kind of house you live in. If you live in a house, what neighborhood you live in, what city, what country, who you're dating, how they look, what they have going on, what you got going on, it doesn't matter. There's always going to be some kind of opposition. And you might as well live your life the way you want to live it. Do the things you want to do. Date the kind of person you want to date. Dress the way you want to dress. Have whatever, like, strive to live your life the way that you, to the fullest, because it's always going to be somebody that's going to feel some kind of way. Even thinking about her story, most of these men kept on saying that she needed to go sit at home and be a housewife. Housewives have opposition too. They have problems. They have to deal with things. It doesn't matter what you are doing. It doesn't matter what you have going. Like, you're always going to have some kind of opposition. Okay. So the scripture comes from Jasher 15 and 20. And the king came and sat before Sari, and behold, a messenger of the Lord was standing over them. And he appeared to Sari and said to her, do not fear, for the Lord has heard your prayer. So for whoever this is for, God says he sees your situation. He sees what's going on. He heard your prayers. And it's not a situation where he is not going to answer your prayers. It's not a situation where he's not going to help you. It's not a situation where he's not going to heal you. It's not a situation where you're not going to come out of this. But he does want you to understand, even after this situation is over and you come out of whatever situation you're going through, it doesn't mean that something else is not going to happen. And regardless if it's small, it could be something small or it could be something big. It could be something so simple as the place you want to eat at. You have a taste for something. You get there and they have removed it off the menu. It's a small opposition, but it's an opposition. And that happened to me a while ago. I wanted to go and eat at this sushi place, and I was like, y'all took calamari off the menu. I was sorry. Now that's a small problem. That's a small problem. But it's still, a problem. It counts. And I just feel like God is saying, no matter what it is, what level of your life you're in, what state you're in, what you got going on. As you are elevating, you moving on up in the world, that don't mean you ain't gonna have no problems. And that's just what it is. It don't mean it's not gonna be somebody leaking in the shadows trying to cause you some kind of pain or some kind of harm. It's always gonna be some kind of opposition, and you just have to be steadfast. You have to continuously pray to God. You have to continuously talk to God, be with God. Don't forget about Him as you elevate. Don't forget about God. Don't allow yourself to get to a position to where you feel like you don't need God no more. And then when that opposition come out of nowhere, you don't know what to do. Okay, that's the message, y'all. Thank you guys for watching. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Deuces.